Let's be brutally honest. When a woman cheats, she rarely does it the way a man would. It's not sudden, it's not careless, and it's almost never random. A man cheats for thrill. A woman cheats for escape. And that's what makes it far more dangerous. Because when a woman steps outside the relationship, she's already halfway gone emotionally. Most men never see it coming. They think loyalty is about promises. But in a woman's world, loyalty is about emotion, attention, and emotional security. When those start fading, she begins to drift. Quietly. Her smile still shows up. Her hugs still feel warm. But her eyes start scanning for something else. Something she feels she's missing. Now, here's where it gets dark. Women are masters at emotional camouflage. They can love you and lie to you in the same breath. Not out of malice, but out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being judged, fear of losing the stability you provide while chasing the emotional high someone else gives. And here's the truth most men can't stomach. When a woman cheats, it's often because she's already been cheating in her mind for months. Emotional cheating always comes first. The text messages, the innocent jokes, the way she mentions another man's name just a little too often. You see it, but you second guess yourself. Because you love her, because you want to believe she's different. But love can blind you to patterns that never lie. Women have 7 psychological tricks they use to get away with cheating. And if you don't know them, you'll end up doubting your own intuition. The first trick? Emotional projection. She'll accuse you of what she's doing. If she's suddenly suspicious of your phone, your whereabouts, your tone, it's often because she's hiding something of her own. The second trick? Oversharing. When she's guilty, she floods you with details to seem transparent. She'll tell you where she went, who she met, what she ate, all without you even asking. It feels like honesty, but it's misdirection. She's filling your mind with noise so you don't notice what's missing, the part she doesn't mention. The third? Guilt affection. She becomes more affectionate out of nowhere. Random kisses, thoughtful gestures, "I love you," texts out of the blue. Not because her love grew, but because her guilt did. It's her way of balancing the scale in her own mind, to convince herself she still cares. Women are intuitive manipulators, not evil ones, but emotional ones. They read tone, energy, and attention with deadly accuracy. If she feels your focus slipping, she knows how to pull you back in. But if she's the one drifting, she knows how to make you feel like you're the one changing. That's the invisible chess game most men don't even realize they're playing. And here's the hardest truth to face. Women rarely cheat because they're tempted by beauty or lust. They cheat because they crave emotional validation. It's not about another man being better. It's about him making her feel seen. When a woman feels invisible, she starts searching for a reflection of her worth in someone else's eyes. But make no mistake, once she finds that emotional thrill, she'll protect it with strategy. She'll plan her lies around your habits. She'll time her messages when you're busy. She'll delete only certain conversations, not all. She'll keep enough normalcy around her to maintain the illusion. And when you start to sense something's off, she'll flip the narrative. You're overthinking. You've changed. You don't trust me anymore. Suddenly, you're the problem. You're the paranoid one. And she becomes the victim in a story she's writing with perfect emotional precision. That's the psychological genius of a woman who's cheating. She hides her tracks, not with lies, but with emotional storytelling. She doesn't deny, she reframes. She paints her distance as stress, her distraction as tiredness, and her coldness as just needing space. You'll believe her because you want to. But deep down, your instincts know. Every man who's ever been betrayed felt it in his gut before he saw it with his eyes. You felt the silence in her energy, the way her laughter changed, the way her phone suddenly became her best friend. You told yourself it's nothing, because facing the truth means facing yourself. The hardest part isn't realizing she cheated, it's realizing you ignored your own intuition long before she ever did it. And that's where every strong man must wake up. Not with anger, but with awareness. Because once you understand the psychology behind her actions, you stop blaming her and start strengthening yourself. Women don't cheat randomly. They cheat systematically, emotionally, and strategically. And those 7 tricks, they're not about deception alone. They're about emotional protection. Every lie she tells is a shield against her guilt, her fear, or her emptiness. So if you've ever been betrayed, understand this. She didn't win. You learned. You learned to read energy, not excuses. You learned that loyalty without respect is meaningless. And most importantly, you learned that love without boundaries is weakness disguised as devotion. Because the truth is, every betrayal a man survives builds him into someone no woman can ever manipulate again. Question for you. Have you ever ignored your gut feeling about someone and later found out it was right? Tell me in the comments and share this video with a friend who needs to hear this truth. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the movement of men who see through the lies. Every man who's ever felt betrayed remembers that one haunting moment, the moment when he realized the woman he trusted most had been living a second life right under his nose. And what cuts deepest isn't the act itself. It's how calm she seemed through it all, how normal everything looked, how perfectly ordinary her lies felt. You see, when a woman cheats, she doesn't just hide her actions, she reshapes her entire emotional identity to fit a new narrative. This is what psychologists call cognitive dissonance repair. To live with her guilt, she rewrites the story in her mind so she's no longer the villain. She convinces herself you don't care anymore, that you changed, or that she deserves to be happy too. And once that emotional justification is built, her deceit no longer feels wrong. It feels necessary. That's why you'll never catch her by confronting her. She's already rehearsed every defense. She's already told herself she's the victim. When you accuse her, you're not exposing her. You're threatening the identity she's built to protect her actions. And that's when she fights hardest. The second layer of her disguise is emotional detachment. She starts to disconnect piece by piece, first mentally, then emotionally, then physically. Her texts become shorter. Her interest fades. Her presence feels hollow, but she won't fully pull away because distance raises suspicion. So she gives you just enough attention to keep you confused. She'll sprinkle affection here and there, like crumbs on a trail you keep following, hoping they lead back to love. But they never do. They lead deeper into denial. And here's where the psychology gets darker. Women cheat differently because they are emotionally intelligent beings. They sense how to regulate your suspicion by mirroring your expectations. If you're confident, she acts secure. If you're jealous, she acts calm. If you become distant, she suddenly becomes sweet. Every reaction she gives is calculated equilibrium, not out of evil, but out of survival instinct. This is how she protects the dual reality she's living in. One reality where she's your loving girlfriend or wife, and another where she's emotionally addicted to the validation of another man. And as long as both realities don't collide, she feels safe. But the cracks always show. They show in the micro expressions, the half-second facial reactions she can't control, in the nervous glance when her phone buzzes, in how quickly she locks her screen, in how defensive she becomes about privacy she never cared for before. It's not paranoia, it's pattern recognition. Now, let's talk about the fourth trick women use, the emotional scapegoat. When she starts pulling away, she'll redirect the emotional tension towards something external, a friend, work stress, just needing space. She'll use these to justify why she's distant. It's not that she's cold, it's that she's overwhelmed. It's not that she's hiding something, it's that she doesn't feel like herself lately. Every excuse is emotional cover fire. And the fifth trick, the social decoy. She introduces new names, new stories, and sometimes even new male friends to blend her secret connection into a blur of harmless people. You'll hear names like Josh or Ethan pop up casually, people you've never met. And because she sprinkles them into innocent contexts, they feel unimportant. Until one day, one of those names wasn't random at all. Women know that hiding one person in a sea of harmless names is safer than keeping him secret. It's genius-level emotional camouflage. But here's what you need to understand. Most women don't cheat because they're cold or cruel. They cheat because they've disconnected from their feminine integrity. Somewhere along the way, they stopped feeling admired, cherished, and emotionally connected. And instead of healing that within themselves, they outsource it to another man. That's why no confrontation, no argument, no begging can fix it. Because the issue isn't you. It's the emotional wound she refuses to face. She's not cheating on you. She's running from herself, from her own emptiness, her own insecurity, her own fading self-worth. But once she starts this path, she becomes a psychological chameleon. She adapts to survive the guilt. She becomes whoever she needs to be to keep the illusion alive. And as the man in her life, you feel it, but can't prove it. You sense it, but can't name it. You lose sleep over it, telling yourself, maybe it's just me. That's the real damage of deception. It's not the betrayal itself, it's how it makes you doubt your reality, how it turns your instincts against you, how it makes you feel crazy for sensing something real. But you're not crazy, you're awake. And the moment you stop arguing with her words and start reading her energy, you begin to see the truth she's been hiding. The sixth trick women use is emotional reversal. When you confront her with logic, she fights you with emotion. She'll cry, shake, and make you feel cruel for even asking questions. Suddenly, you're the heartless one, and she's the one who can't believe you'd think that. It's manipulation through emotional overload. You step back because you don't want to be the bad guy, and in that pause, she regains control. And then there's the seventh trick, the most dangerous one, the redemption act. When she senses you're pulling away, she'll become everything you ever wanted again. Sweet, loving, vulnerable. She'll talk about the future, about trips, about family, about dreams. She'll make you believe the connection is back, but it's not. It's a performance designed to buy time until she decides which life to choose. That's why so many men get blindsided, because she made him believe the storm had passed, when in reality, she was just waiting for clear skies to leave. Now, listen carefully. You can't stop a woman from cheating if her heart has already detached. You can only protect your peace by mastering your awareness. You can't change her psychology, but you can learn from it. Because every trick she uses to deceive can also teach you how to detect truth. Every manipulation she uses to hide can show you how to read energy instead of words. That's the power of awakening. You start to see through emotional smoke, through the stories, through the performances. You stop chasing proof and start trusting presence. And once you reach that point, no woman can ever play you again. Because you no longer fall for what she says. You watch what she avoids. Question for you. Which of these 7 tricks have you seen or experienced before, and how did it change the way you trust? Tell me in the comments. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with a brother who needs to open his eyes. Every man thinks he'll see it coming. The lies, the emotional distance, the shift in tone. But the truth is, you never see the knife until it's already inside. Because deceit doesn't begin with betrayal. It begins with comfort. It begins the moment you start believing she'd never do that. That's the blind spot every strong man must outgrow. You see, women are not born manipulators. They become them when they realize men stop paying attention once they feel safe. And safety, while beautiful, can turn a man blind if it's not paired with awareness. So how do high-value men detect deceit before it destroys them? It starts with energy calibration. A high-value man doesn't just listen to her words, he feels her rhythm. He studies the silence between her sentences. He pays attention to the micro shifts, how she responds when she's asked a question, how long it takes her to reply, how her tone subtly adjusts depending on who she's talking to. He's not paranoid, he's emotionally fluent. He knows that women operate emotionally first, logically second. So when her emotions change, her logic starts to rewrite itself. The high-value man senses that. He doesn't accuse, he observes. He doesn't chase explanations, he collects patterns. Because here's the thing, once you're emotionally attached, your mind starts filtering her behavior through what you want to be true, not what's actually happening. That's why average men always find out last. They're not blind, they're hopeful. But hope is not awareness. The men who stay unbroken are the ones who learn to read truth without words. You see, women who cheat develop an emotional split. One part of her is still performing the role of the loyal partner, while the other part is subconsciously detaching from it. The high-value man doesn't focus on the act, he focuses on energetic congruence. When her words and actions no longer match, he doesn't argue, he withdraws. When she starts saying, "I love you," but her eyes feel disconnected, he doesn't ask why. He simply starts observing from distance, because masculine energy doesn't need to chase truth. It magnetizes it through stillness. That's what makes strong men unbreakable. They don't react emotionally to deceit. They respond with calm observation. And that calmness drives dishonest people insane, because liars thrive on chaos. When you don't give them reaction, they lose power. This is how a high-value man flips the dynamic. Instead of being emotionally reactive, he becomes psychologically unpredictable. She can't read him anymore. She doesn't know if he suspects, if he's angry, or if he's planning something. That mystery is his armor. Now, most men ask, but why not just confront her early? Because confrontation without confirmation only feeds her control. If you accuse without proof, she'll twist your perception, reframe the story, and make you doubt your own instincts. The moment you lose composure, she wins the narrative. But if you stay quiet, if you detach emotionally while observing behavior, you'll see her unravel. Because deceit requires attention to survive. When you remove your energy, her lies suffocate. She starts overcompensating, trying to explain what you didn't ask, offering affection you didn't request. That's when you know she's trying to manage your perception. That's awareness. That's power. Now let's talk about mindset, the invisible shield every man needs. The high-value man never assumes loyalty. He recognizes that loyalty is tested when temptation arrives. He doesn't cling to anyone. He attracts through boundaries. When a woman knows you're capable of walking away, she becomes more honest. Not because she fears punishment, but because she respects your emotional strength. She knows she can't manipulate a man who won't trade his peace for her presence. That's the essence of masculine energy. Calm dominance rooted in self-control. Women test men emotionally to gauge that control. If you fail the test by becoming desperate, defensive, or reactive, she subconsciously loses respect. But if you stay grounded, she feels your strength. That's how betrayal becomes revelation. Because betrayal only hurts when your identity is built on her validation. Once you detach from that, her deception becomes data, not devastation. You start seeing through people instead of being blinded by them. That's why every strong man you've ever admired carries a certain stillness. It's not arrogance, it's awareness born from pain. He's been lied to before. He's seen masks fall, and now he moves differently. He doesn't chase reassurance, he creates reality. If a woman's behavior feels inconsistent, he trusts his energy, not her excuses. He doesn't argue about respect. He enforces it through absence. He doesn't demand honesty. He makes dishonesty irrelevant by removing access to him. That's emotional mastery. It's the art of remaining grounded when everything around you tries to make you doubt yourself. And here's the truth no one wants to admit. Women respect men who can emotionally walk away more than men who promise to stay no matter what, because walking away is power. Staying blindly is weakness disguised as love. When a man learns to detach without bitterness, he becomes untouchable. Not cold, not heartless, but centered. She can't play games with a man who knows his worth. She can't deceive a man who doesn't need validation. She can't manipulate a man who's learned to sit in silence until truth exposes itself. This is the evolution every betrayed man must walk through. The shift from emotional dependence to emotional discipline. Once you cross that bridge, you stop seeing deceit as tragedy and start seeing it as a teacher. Every lie shows you where your boundaries were weak. Every manipulation reveals where you gave too much. Every betrayal sharpens your awareness for life. And soon you realize something profound. You were never losing her. You were losing your illusions. The version of her you believed in, the one that existed in your head, wasn't real. What's real is who she became when tested, so don't mourn the mask. Appreciate the clarity, because every truth revealed is one step closer to becoming the kind of man who can't be fooled again. A man who reads patterns, who feels energy, who knows himself so deeply that deceit becomes transparent in his presence. That's what being high value really means. Not money, not looks, not status, but awareness. Awareness that no one can give you peace you haven't already built within. Question for you. Have you ever stayed calm when someone tried to lie to you and watched the truth expose itself? Tell me in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. There comes a point when every man sits in silence. No anger, no tears, no denial, just that hollow stillness after she's gone. That's the moment your rebirth begins. Because the real transformation doesn't happen when she betrays you. It happens when you finally stop betraying yourself. You see, betrayal is not just an emotional wound, it's a mirror. It shows you where your standards slipped, where your boundaries faded, and where your need for love outweighed your need for respect. It's life's way of ripping off the illusion so you can finally rebuild the man you were always meant to be. Most men spend months trying to get her back. They think closure will bring peace, but closure doesn't come from her apology. It comes from your awareness. The moment you realize her actions were never about you, but about her inability to handle her own emptiness, that's the moment the chains fall off. The first step to reclaiming power is emotional neutrality. You don't seek revenge. You don't chase answers. You observe everything with detachment. Because the man who reacts loses control, but the man who remains calm commands respect. When you detach, she feels it. Women are energy-driven beings. They can feel when your attention shifts, when your energy no longer orbits around her, something inside her panics. That's when she starts trying to re-enter your space, apologizing, reminiscing, sending accidental messages. Not because she loves you again, but because she feels the loss of power. That's when most men fall back into the trap. Don't. Understand this. A woman who betrays you once will try to reattach herself, not because she's changed, but because she misses the version of herself that existed when you admired her. She doesn't miss you. She misses who she was when you believed in her. That's why your silence after betrayal is the most powerful weapon you have. It's not punishment, it's reflection. It's saying, I'm no longer feeding what destroyed me. And slowly, the pain that once broke you begins to shape you. You start to rebuild, not for her, but for yourself. You hit the gym, not out of anger, but to reclaim ownership of your body. You focus on your purpose, not to distract yourself, but to remind yourself that your mission is bigger than any heartbreak. You sharpen your mind because mental clarity is the ultimate masculine power. That's how masculine energy heals, not through begging or explaining, but through rebuilding. You stop asking, why did she do this to me? And start asking, why did I allow it? That shift alone is the turning point from victim to master. Because truth is, women don't respect perfection. They respect resilience. When you rise from betrayal with calm, focus, and quiet dominance, you become something she can't forget, even if she tries. Not because she lost you, but because she'll never find another man who handled her chaos with strength instead of spite. That's the paradox of masculine healing. The more you detach from needing her, the more she feels drawn back to your presence. But by the time she does, you'll have outgrown the version of yourself who would have accepted her back. The next time someone betrays you, don't let it destroy your faith in love. Let it refine your standards. Let it teach you the art of selective energy. You can still love deeply, but never without discernment. Because love without standards leads to suffering, and suffering without learning leads to repetition. Every strong man you admire, every man who radiates power, peace, and calm has been broken once. But instead of letting that pain make him bitter, he let it build him. He learned the quiet art of emotional dominance. Emotional dominance isn't control over others, it's control over self. It's the ability to remain unshaken when someone tries to destabilize you. It's walking away without anger, loving without attachment, and trusting without fear. When you reach that level, betrayal no longer scares you, because you understand that no one can truly betray you. They can only reveal themselves. And that's your superpower. You start seeing betrayal not as loss, but as revelation. You no longer beg for closure. You are closure. You no longer look for validation. You are validation. This is the shift from pain to power, from emotional chaos to emotional command. And when you live there, women feel it instantly. They may not say it, but they sense your energy. You've become a man who cannot be deceived because you no longer depend on external affection to define your worth. That's what masculine peace feels like. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's still, powerful, and centered. And when a man reaches that, something beautiful happens. He attracts women who can match his emotional maturity instead of feeding on his vulnerability. You see, life always gives you two choices after betrayal. You can chase what broke you, or you can build what frees you. One path keeps you trapped in cycles, the other makes you untouchable. So if you're listening right now, remember this. Your pain is not your enemy, it's your awakening. Don't drown it with distractions or rebounds. Sit with it. Let it strip you of illusion, ego, and fear. Because when you rise from it, you'll rise as someone new. And one day, when she scrolls through your life and sees the man you've become, the peace in your face, the fire in your eyes, the focus in your purpose, she'll remember the day she lost you. Not because you punished her, but because you outgrew her. That's real victory. Because the best revenge is not making her regret losing you. It's making yourself grateful she did. When a man reaches that level, no betrayal can shake him. No woman can confuse him. No pain can define him. He becomes the storm. And every person who once underestimated him becomes a silent witness to his evolution. So stand tall, heal in silence. Let your results speak the truth. Because the man who can rebuild himself from betrayal becomes the kind of man no one dares betray again. Question for you. What did betrayal teach you about your own strength? Tell me in the comments below, and if this message hit home, like this video, subscribe, and share it with a brother who needs to rise again.